This was the only way out for some who found they were surrounded by surging torrents. Heavy rain forced the river right through this town in Bavaria. Residents headed upstairs to escape the water. Then they wait to be rescued, by boat if not by air. By night they were assessing the damage and the loss of life. 4 people drowned in their homes here close to the Austrian border.
There must have been flash floods where people had no chance to get out in time. Those on the first floor were lucky and got out, while unfortunately others didn't make it.
Parts of France have seen the same sorts of problems. This is the region south of Paris. An 86-year-old woman died when water rushed through her home. These houses have all been evacuated, says the fireman. It's only just possible to make out the murky shape of a car completely underwater.
It's a challenge because those places will need drinking water, food. It's all difficult, but there's a true sense of solidarity. But we have to remain careful.
So while thousands have been put into boats and moved, in the French capital, trips on the River Seine were cancelled and people were warned to stay away. In just over a week, this country hosts the European Football Championships. There's clearing up to do, and there's more rain to come. Dan Johnson, BBC News.
taking you now to San Joaquin County, California, where you see traffic is building up because of a sinkhole on Interstate 5. Now, this is just south of the town of Stockton, for people who are familiar with this area. According to our Sacramento station, our CBS Sacramento station, this apparently started when Transportation Department workers actually found a sinkhole that was about a foot in diameter. They decided to investigate. It was around noontime, local time, that they discovered this. In the course of that, you can see what has happened now. Pictures of this sinkhole are showing that it is much bigger than it originally was. In fact, so big that all northbound traffic actually has been shut down. Now, these are pictures from our station KPIX, which is obviously surveying the area there, but they are going to have a lot of work ahead of them here. That area, northbound Interstate 5 at about Highway 132 is where this is. That's going to be closed for at least 2 to 3 days because of this sinkhole. They have set up a detour, but as we saw in that chopper shot a moment ago, traffic obviously they're building as people try to make their way around this sinkhole that has opened up on Interstate 5. We'll continue to monitor this situation for you and bring you updates.
Here in the Live Center, we are watching live pictures here from the Paula fire, where up to 100 structures are threatened right now. We saw some active flames there, and you can see a lot of smoke. Mandatory evacuations for those living on the east side of Paula Temecula Road. Now, we just learned here within the past few minutes that deputies are going door to door to warn people about the spread of this fire. So far, up to 25 new acres have burned, according to CAL FIRE. And you can see there, they're trying to attack this from the air. I saw a couple of fire drops or retardant drops earlier, just within the past 10 minutes or so. A lot of brush in the area. I know Craig Herrera has been talking about just how hot it's been. Let's go ahead and turn it over to him to talk about the conditions right now.
Yeah, Mel, pretty hot out there. I've zoomed into the area right now, and what we're seeing is temperatures right about 90 degrees or so. So temperatures at 90 degrees, relative humidity only at 21%. The winds in the area are out of the west-southwest at 9 miles per hour, and we have seen gusts in the past 15 minutes up to 15 miles per hour as well. So rather dry and very, very hot. Of course, we'll continue to see this heat through the day tomorrow. So even though they'll get a little fog tonight, tomorrow those relative humidity levels will be anywhere from 10 to 20%. So yeah, Mel, as we look at this, highs tomorrow there, once again back into the mid to upper 90s with humidity down below 20%. The wind staying out of the west-southwest tomorrow, right about 15 or so. So definitely not the best conditions for firefighting out there, Melissa.
Absolutely, the hot conditions definitely not helping. Now, just within the past minute or so, you saw a helicopter make a water drop on those flames right there. I can tell you right now, we are going to continue to monitor this here in the Live Center. We have multiple crews heading to the scene to gather as much information as we can. But again, 70 to 100 structures threatened by this flare-up. Mandatory evacuations for the east side of Paula Temecula Road. Here in the Live Center, Melissa Masiha, 10 News.
What are we looking at here? Well, it's not a UFO come crashing down to Earth, at least according to NASA. It's a meteor. These pictures were taken in Arizona. The fireball lit up the night sky for hundreds of miles around and was visible in at least 6 states. Scientists estimate it was going at least 40,000 miles per hour. Fortunately, nobody was hurt on the ground. Based on the trajectory, it's expected pieces of the object are now spread out across a desert south of Tucson.
UCLA reports that a disgruntled student shot him, then turned the gun on himself, creating a wave of terror on campus in Los Angeles. 10 News reporter Steve Fiorina joins us live at UCLA right now. And Steve, so what's the tone at this point?
The terror has subsided, but there's still a lot of unease here. UCLA was locked down for almost 2 hours today after those shots rang out. In this building, engineering number 14, there were news helicopters overhead as SWAT teams and police agencies rushed to look for any possible continuing danger. Might there be an active shooter? They cleared all classrooms one by one. Julia Zhu was in math class when the Bruin alert was sounded, and she heard someone yell.
She said run really loudly, and like at that time everybody just ran. I was really scared, and I ran with anyone else. And
You're still kind of scared, aren't you?
Yes, I'm still in that mood. I'm even not sure if I will go to campus tomorrow.
Now, others may stay well, too. This building will not be back open until next week. All others on campus scheduled to open tomorrow, and they expect to have counselors for any students or teachers or staff who would like them. Live at UCLA, Steve Fiorina, 10 News.
And here in the Live Center, students at UCLA had to get creative during this lockdown because a lot of their doors would not lock. You can see what some of them had to do here. Pranasha posted this photo. They used the chairs, the desks, cords, basically to make sure that door was secure. Daphne posted this one of her classmates. They've turned the table over to the side, used the cords there from this projector also to make sure nobody could get in. And the next photo, kind of an eerie scene. So once everything was cleared, UCLA, usually filled with thousands of students, empty in the aftermath of the shooting. Here in the Live Center, Melissa Messiha, 10 News.
Radical change for the Chicago Police Department, releasing online evidence from scores of pending investigations involving police use of force. In one of those videos, we see an officer shoving, then punching a handcuffed man inside a hospital room. And in Chicago tonight, they are bracing for the reaction. ABC's Eva Pilgrim is there.
An officer points his gun at a battery suspect by a bus stop. The suspect runs towards him and the officer fires. The suspect falls to the ground but survives. It's one of hundreds of videos released today by the city of Chicago from 101 use of force investigations still open dating back 4 years.
We all agree that there's a lack of trust and that increased transparency is essential to rebuilding that trust.
It all comes after the city took 13 months to release police dashcam footage of Officer Jason Van Dyke shooting 17-year-old Laquan McDonald 16 times on a city street. That case sparking protests. One of the videos released today shows Lisa Simmons being roughly thrown against a squad car during a 2014 block party. Her arrest, part of a lawsuit recently settled by the city. The same officer, after yelling at the crowd gathered,
"Get out of the street or you're going to jail!"
striking 30-year-old Jeremiah Smith with a baton, then forcing him to the ground.
David, after today, this kind of evidence will be released 60 to 90 days after the incident. The police union calling this release irresponsible and sad.
She is the first Zika-linked baby to be born in the New York metropolitan area after her mother tested positive for the Zika virus. Dr. Manny Alvarez helped deliver this child, and he joins us now. Manny, what happened? She was born yesterday?
She was born yesterday about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is a young woman that came from Honduras recently. I think she was visiting extended family. And, she showed up to our center of high-risk pregnancy saying that there was something wrong with the baby's brain. She was not sure because the doctors in Honduras did not give her a definitive diagnosis. What she was able to tell us is that she was bitten by a mosquito early in the pregnancy. She did develop a rash. Her mother's a microbiologist locally there in Honduras, and I was able to, because they didn't have the resources in Honduras to take a test for Zika, so she was able to send the blood over to the CDC, and we did receive confirmation from the CDC that she was indeed positive. So when we did the ultrasound, it became very apparent to us that the baby had the small head microcephaly. It was very growth restricted. It had multiple issues that we were very concerned about. We brought her back yesterday, Tuesday, and our team, of high risk OB, we all decided that it was best suited to have the baby delivered. She was a previous C-section, so we went ahead and did do that.
What is how's the mother, but what is the prognosis for this child?
Well, the prognosis for the child is highly guarded. I mean, the baby did come out crying, it was moving and all of that, of course. But, this is a baby whose brain is incredibly underdeveloped. And when that occurs, basically it's going to have deficiencies, perhaps motor deficiencies, blindness, it's maybe not going to be able to hear, definitely cognitive dysfunctionality, which might include, seizures and tremors and things of this sort. So this is a baby that's going to have a very challenging upbringing.
People look at this and they feel for the child, the mother, But Manny, what about this country and the risk to people in this country in terms of the potential for this virus to come here as the summer season wears on, and people who are thinking about getting pregnant?
Well, look, in this country, I don't think we have a problem. Yeah, we have isolated cases of Zika, people that have come to this to the continental U.S. We do have the type of mosquito, especially in the southern states, but we don't have the combination of a lot of people being infected and a lot of mosquitoes at the same time, which would make it for a big spread. However, I think we have to take absolute advice from what the CDC is saying, which is do not go to areas, especially Central America, South America, Caribbean, where this is an endemic problem. If you are pregnant, or if in another particular case, if you have underlying chronic medical diseases, if you are in immunosuppressive therapy, things of the sort, which your immune system is compromised, don't go to areas where the Zika is found.
What about if you think you're even thinking of getting pregnant? Because then do you run a risk if you contract the virus and maybe you think it's out of your system and then you get pregnant?
Well, look, there's a window. This virus does not stay with you forever. This is not like HIV or hepatitis. So you're going to get a viral load, a viral infection, then your body's going to react to it, and eventually the virus is going to die off. So this is not you don't become a chronic carrier of Zika once you get infected. So that window is vital for you never to get pregnant. But then once that window has eroded, then you can go ahead and lead a normal life.
But we should be on the lookout potentially for this virus to come here.
Absolutely. If you're pregnant, if you travel, if you think you and your significant other has gone to areas where the Zika is present, again, this is something that can be contracted through intercourse.
Right. Manny, it's great to see you.
Good
Dr.
to see you.
Manny Alvarez, a pleasure always.
Hello and welcome everybody. It's noon here in the Iranian capital, Tehran. You're watching Press TV's World News. Our top story for this half hour, at least 15 civilians have reportedly been killed in U.S.-led airstrikes in northern Syria amid an operation to take back a strategic area from Daesh. The so-called Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says the casualties were incurred in the past 24 hours. The deaths come as thousands of mainly Kurdish YPG fighters are taking part in the U.S.-led offensive to liberate the city of Manbij. The operation aims to cut off Daesh access to the city along the Turkish border. The terrorists have long used the area as an entry point to Europe. A number of U.S. Special Operation Forces are said to have joined the mission as advisors. The U.S.-led forces have so far managed to take back 16 villages from the terrorists. The operation comes ahead of a final push towards terrorist de facto capital, Raqqa.
President Obama says the Bible supports his sweeping directive to allow transgender public school students to use the bathroom of their choice. The president made that remark at a town hall meeting in Elkhart, Indiana, Wednesday night. On the PBS NewsHour, Mr. Obama said people with religious beliefs may disagree with his decision, but he believes he's following Jesus' command to treat others the way he'd want to be treated.
My reading of Scripture tells me that golden rule is pretty high up there in terms of my Christian belief.
The president said he wants to ensure that all children are treated with kindness.